Welcome to the BMC and Entuity webinar series for 2016. Today we're going to be focusing on the 7 signs that your network management software isn't managing. I'll explore the challenges that many customers are facing managing their networks today and the pains and problems created. And then using a demonstration, I will quickly show you the effective ways to eliminate the pain incorporating the network management solution from Entuity. Firstly, let me thank you for your time today to attend this webinar. My name's Parish Mystery. I'm a senior pre-sales engineer at Entuity. I've been working with infrastructure management solutions for coming on to over 15 years now, including many network management solutions, some still in existence today. Many have been acquired by larger vendors, and others, of course, have disappeared as the networking technologies have moved on over the years. Much of what I'm going to present today is what I've seen in the marketplace, visiting organizations who believe that they have their network management covered, but in reality, they really don't. Let's move on to the agenda. So the plan is to do a quick introduction and then spend most of the 20 minutes or so going through the 7 signs that we come across in the marketplace. And then we'll just finish off with a quick roundup around BMC and Entuity. As I said, if you do have any questions, please use the chat panel and we'll have time at the end to answer them. So let's move on to the introduction. Often the network is lost in all the hype around new initiatives that are in the marketplace at the moment. I'm sure your organizations yourselves include initiatives like the cloud, new applications, virtualization. However, organizations need to look a bit deeper and realize that the network is the foundation on which all of these initiatives take place. And because of this, network management is fundamental to the company's health and growth. So what are we seeing in the marketplace? And I'm sure most of you will agree of some of these scenarios. So we're seeing continuous network technology changes and introduction of new network types. You're seeing some devices these days that do multiple functions. There's growing complexity. There's, of course, we all know here in the news, the increased threats on the network from cyber threats, etc. There's a growing focus from application performance management. A lot of this has arisen in some ways from the change of technologies these days, the use of cloud, the use of bring your own devices, and the complexity of applications these days have increased the APM marketplace. There's also, on top of that, in the current economic climate that's been around for a number of years now, pressure to operate on leaner budget, but still provide outstanding service delivery. So that's what we see on the network side. And from a network management side, what do we still see? There still seems to be a resistance to integrate the network as part of the larger infrastructure business service management strategy within organizations. It's often still kept in a silo. Surprisingly, still see a lot of customers using very outdated products, and even more worryingly, using freeware and very low-end network management products that are in the marketplace that can be downloaded. I'm not saying that these don't have a place. They do, and often meet specific requirements, but they do not provide an overall view and management of the network that is required. Finally, the network is still seen as a technical issue, and there's limited understanding on the role the network management plays in the business. And the key thing here is, of course, that without the network, there's no communications, and because of that, it doesn't matter if you've got servers and applications all running fine, the business cannot run. Let's move on to the signs. Sign number 1. Monitoring is all about Alt-Tab. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that what I see often in the marketplace is the use of a number of products, multiple products, managing your network. So when an issue arises, the person's either sitting on a swivel chair, going from screen to screen, or they're using Alt-Tab. In fact, a good example of this is only last week in the UK. I went to see a large enterprise, and they had around 5 different products, and they were doing exactly this as they were showing me through their system. They thought they had everything covered, but I could see within 1 minute of just watching them that they were going from a event then to another product, again using Alt-Tab, and then trying to find that interface on that product, going in to look at some performance data, and then moving on to somewhere else to go down to the command line to look at some config. And actually, they didn't think anything of it. They thought, well, I've got it all covered. And in some ways they do, but it's very inefficient. It creates slow mean time to repair. You're moving around, as I said, from one product to another. Again, that takes time and a lot of time. Actually, I would say over 50% of the time just trying to find the same device to interface in different products. And outside of that, you've got to take into account the cost and time and efforts of being trained on multiple products. And of course on maintenance upgrades, having to the efforts and complexity of upgrading multiple products and ensuring if there is an integration, often it's very loose, that it's still working. So as you can see on the right hand side there, that this is a common scenario that I see with a lot of customers. Yes, so they do have things covered, they're perhaps missing one or two of those, but it's all very disjointed. So if I just come out of the presentation for a second and bring you to the actual Entuity demo. So how does Entuity cover this problem? Well, fundamentally, Entuity is a single all-in-one solution. And as you can see here, we cover inventory. If I move over to events, we cover faults, alarms coming in. If I go over to look at faults, I can also go in and look at performance data at both the device level and then down to a port level. On top of that, if I go down further, let's go to another device here, HQ01. You'll also see we've got configuration management, showing differences between config. And the great thing about all this is you can bring it all together into a single view. So you can create dashboards specific to your needs within the network. So fundamentally, this is all within one product. That you're not alt tabbing between different products. Once you found an issue within a device, you can quickly go in, and it's all around the right click. You've got config management. You've got ability to go straight to look at the performance data. You've got the ability to go, and then once you're in there, you've got ability to drill down even further and also look at advanced detail of that device. So it takes away all the operator efficiencies that we see with multiple products and all the kind of training issues and all the things I mentioned in the slide. Okay. So let's move back to the presentation and move on to slide number 2. Again, something I see quite often is, what issue? My network is up. This is a very common and concerning scenario that I see customers only monitoring availability, often with a simple ping, perhaps some performance metrics, but generally, if there are network issues which aren't to do with availability, they only find out about them because it's raised by the end user. Now, the issue these days is that networks are resilient. Availability, of course, is important and is a key measurement, but I would say over 50% of issues these days are caused by, well, I would say more than that, probably 70 to 80% of issues are not caused by availability. They're caused by performance issues in your network, configuration issues in the network. Networks today are a lot more complex, and you need deep insight. Looking at performance and flow metrics, you need root cause, you need future-proofing ability. There's no point adding a new device to your network and then having to wait 2 or 3 months before you can get support for it. You need the ability to do device support right now, either with the help of the vendor or by yourselves within the product. So as you can see on the right hand side, a simple green doesn't mean that your network is up and running and performing well. A good example, again, that I often see is when we do proof of concepts with the Entuity product is packet loss. You often see large packet loss due to simple things like duplex mix message on your network. So simple misconfiguration, and if you're just monitoring availability, you'll have no visibility of that at all, and your network is performing at 50% of its capability. So what does Entuity do in this space? Well, as you can just see from this kind of high-level slide, there's a lot of functionality that's provided out of the box within the product. So as per the previous slide in the demo, we cover the fault performance inventory. We then go into dynamic thresholding at port level to kind of give you abnormality behavior. We give you user-defined polling, so you can actually go and add in your additional metrics yourself. We look at the technologies that are out there today: virtual machines, load balancers, wireless firewalls, end hosts. Look at networking technologies like MPLS, QoS, and in the Cisco world also IPSLA. We delve into routing protocols, layer 2, layer 3, root cause topology, event management, service management, and then provide ability to export the data and view the data in various formats. So again, let's just go into the product quickly and then highlight a few of those. So let's look at user-defined polling, for example. So if I go to HQ02 here, you see additional metrics being added, like TCP connections, or you've got TCP retransmission algorithm. Entuity provides standard support. So a lot of what you see here is out of the box. There's no need to start from loading up a MIB and picking up OIDs. We do a lot of the hard work and to actually get good monitoring of your solution out of the box. But if you want the flexibility to add in additional metrics, you can. And where that's done is in the user-defined polling mechanism. You can create, for an object, you can create additional attributes and collectors to go and look for that information. So if I go to that attributes here, TCP connections that were just showed on the screen, it's a simple process of loading up an OID, loading up a MIB, selecting the OID, saying what kind of data it is, how often you want to poll it, and whether you want to see it in which web pages within the UI do you want to see it. Do you want to see it in a chart, in a gauge, in the general information? Simple tick, 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 and that's what you see back at that device here. It's already in a gauge, polling every 5 minutes, and I can click on it and it takes you into the chart. That's just one example of the functionality within the product. Let's go back to the dashboard. That's my starting point, and back to the presentation. Moving into sign 3, and we've all come across this at some point in our careers in network management. I am drowning in the noise. So this is where, of course, you've got too many events coming in. Sometimes this is due to the end user who decides that it's better to send everything to the network management system. So the good old traps enable all is a good example of this. But more often than not, the reason for this is that the network management solution doesn't have the capability to eliminate noise. It doesn't have event correlation. It doesn't have a different way of looking at the data. It doesn't have any root cause or suppression to be able to reduce the event stream to be meaningful, and that when issues appear in the event stream, there are issues that need to be acted upon. Even more so to that, over the last 5 years or so, you're seeing businesses and their clients maturing. It's all about service delivery. In fact, I was only at a meeting last week in Ireland where the client manager for an MSP came in, and all he was interested is in service delivery, not about individual components. It's about how my network service is performing. Can I see this in a dashboard? How is my network service performing against the SLAs? This is what their customers want you to see. And more often than not, going out, talking to people, looking at their solutions, their event stream is just flowing continuously throughout the day, and often because of that, they're missing out on the key issues. There's no prioritization of issues. So again, how does Entuity handle this area? So going back to the demonstration here, there's two key areas that I would like to focus on. One is we have a full event management system. So within the event administration, you can see a workflow here of events that can come in. You can create rules before the event hits the database to change it, correlate against other events, and come out with what is an incident. what do we need to look at? And there's some rules here, for example, flapping. So let's take that flapping example, for example. So an out-of-the-box rule that we have for events. If I go to HQ01 here, and I can see I've got a port status problem. If I click on that and look at details, straight away here, you can see that this one incident has happened because we're getting down up alarms on a continual basis, and rather than showing all those, we're showing a port problem status down to port flapping. So if I go back to the rules there in the event administration and go to the rule for that, you'll see under flapping the rule for flap detection. If I go down to the actual processing stage, you'll see that we're saying if you get 2 down and 2 up on source within 2 minutes, let's change it to a port flapping, and that when incidents will turn into a port problem status. So rather than getting hundreds, if not thousands of alarms that you often see with port flapping issues in networks, you'll see the one. And that in itself is a tremendous differentiator of our product. Even more so to that is the idea or the concept of service. So we've got a concept here of service modeling. And so what we mean by that is either from a network perspective, like a load balancer service, or from a business perspective, from a network, you can create a service. So we're saying we've got an order processing service, which is made up of a redundant link. That's made up of 2 ports, and it's using a logic of OR. So we're saying as long as one of these is up, the redundant link is up. So here you can see this one is down, but as long as one of them is up, the redundant link is up. And then that goes further into the server pool, where we've got at least logic, and then you've got Florida team, which is and logic. So both of these need to be up and running. So again, if I go to Explore here and HLVAC, I'm just going to disable a device, and I'll come back to that within a minute or so. But what you should see is that service I've just shown you change to be red now, because what I've just done is I've brought down HLVAC, and this is an AND, so that will go red, and we'll come back to that in a minute. Again, the idea behind this kind of service view is that also you see within the events, you can have it just see the service issues that are happening within your network. And again, if I go down to a dashboard, I can also include a service availability report as part of my offering. So this could be a real-time dashboard updated every 5 minutes showing the service availability. So again, this could be something that you could show to your network manager can have, your CIO can have, or if you're an MSP, you can have this delivered to your end customers. Okay, so there you go, order processing is down, and we should also have an event for that. Service state problem, order processing, there's a few others as well. So again, you can just focus purely on the service. You can filter out all the other events and just purely focus on the services, and also see that within the service summary here, order processing is down. Great. Let's go back to the starting point of the dashboard. Also, you can see from that, which I'll go on to the next line, is that there's been a change in the map as well, and there's an issue. Okay, so that's 3 signs down. Let's move on to sign number 4, and that's topology. The topology is all in my head, and it's amazing how many places I go to where this is still the case. So going back many years, I'm not going to tell you my age, but my first job when I first graduated was working for a large organization, and I remember a network person coming in one day and quickly drawing up something on the board, a network on the board, relatively simple, and probably correct. Now, to do that today would be very much impossible or very, very difficult. Network management has always been associated with map views, going back to the early days of IBM NetView or OpenView Network Node Manager. But alarmingly, you still find many management products out there that don't provide any or very limited auto topology mapping and rely on the end users to create very pretty and very nice looking maps, but for me are a major red flag. There are issues around human error. So if somebody's created a map, people believe in that map and it could be totally wrong. And the upkeep, the effort, networks change. You have to keep all your topology maps up to date. And that in itself can be a very time consuming job. So as you can see there on the right hand side, people very difficult to create this in their heads. And yes, that the picture of the office there with the links coming out of a floor looks very nice, but is it correct? Are those connections real? Are things missing? What happens if another device has been added last week? It's not on that map. These are all fundamental issues with topology that is not automated. So what we're looking for here in a product is a automated topology mapping that's dynamic, accurate, also scalable. There's no point having a map that takes 5 minutes to load up, and also exportable. A key feature these days is creating network diagrams. Wouldn't it be great to be able to just export the diagrams you have within your network management system out into a diagram product like Visio? So again, taking you back to the Entuity product here, you can see we have topology maps at a high level. If I go into the mapping solution, you can see how quickly we're drawing these maps. It's all based on what you have on the left-hand side. You can click on the device, and you can click on any of the links and any of the sub-views, and it will take you to a map view. So this New York headquarters also has a background. It has things connected. If I right-click, it will show you exactly how it's connected. So this is connected by CDP. And so this is the key. So we actually do automated mapping based on the following: layer 2, layer 3, and routing protocols, as well as some other detection that we require for host and virtual environments. So that is all automated within our product. Of course, you can create manual links, add backgrounds, but fundamentally what you're seeing in your map views is exactly how your network's connected, all the way down to, as I said, routing protocols and how they're communicating within your network. Any issues with these, of course, the check colors will change, and you'll be notified as well. If you're not interested in the status, you can also go down to, let's say, let's go down to New York office here. You can also go down and maybe let's change that to utilization. And that will start showing you utilization links, utilization data across your network, so showing you how much utilization is going across rather than actual status of devices. So again, a scalable, easy to use mapping function is key. And great, if you want to export out, you can export that network diagram out to a Visio diagram. And if I bring one of those into the center and enlarge it, you can also see the data we collect, which can be configured. It's up to you whether you want to show all that data on the diagram or not. But there you go, you've got instant diagrams as well. Okay. And great thing, as you see, going back to the dashboard, is you can have multiple maps also in the dashboard view. Moving on to sign 5. Rising application performance service desk tickets. We're seeing more and more of this over the last 2 years. And as you can see from statistics that were presented last year, the largest source for application degradation is still the network. And what you've seen in the market is a large growing number of new products that have come in specifically focusing on application performance. However, a lot of these still don't address the issue that if it is the network, where is it in the network? Who's using the bandwidth? Where is it coming from? Being proactive in notifying of any network performance issues is a key way of reducing application performance issues. So how does Entuity deal with this? Going back to the demonstration, as you can see, we already have flow data collecting. So from within a view of a device interface, let's go down to CA01 here and down to a port. You're able to straight away see, as well as utilization issues from a SNMP perspective, you're able to see what's causing it, what are the top conversations, what are the top applications. Let's show that in a different graph. Maybe let's change that to a pie chart. So again, you're very quickly able to tell exactly what is going on in terms of traffic within your network, and this can really much aid the area of application performance. Another area where we can help with this is around having capacity reports. So if I go into planning reports here, you're very much able to have capacity trends. You're able to see in terms of utilization and 95th percentile exactly the top links that are causing problems. You can click on the link and actually start looking at data for hours, days, months and years. You can start trending and start looking at performance issues. Sorry, I should not have done that. Let's go back to that report. And again, I can then click ahead, and this will take me to forecast ahead. So this is great. I've got, based on the data I have, actually my utilization inbound is going to be going down over the next 6 months. So my prediction in 6 months and 12 months is there. So again, you can forecast ahead and help. If you've got a new application coming on board, you can predict in advance whether you've got enough capacity to cope with it. Okay, go back to the signs. 2 more left. Again, just to show the report, the next sign is how am I supposed to report on that? Today it's all about reporting. Many network management solutions out there have very little reporting. I often find companies where somebody's made a job of it. They spend all their time often just taking screenshots of graphs and putting them into Excel or Word documents. And on the opposite side, I have people who are very technical doing SQL queries or scripting to get the data out of the database to create reports. For MSPs, again, reporting is key nowadays. Providing, but saying that, so is reporting in enterprises. Internal reporting is just important. Proving issues to help with your own job. To make, the way I look at it, having good reports makes you and your department profile, raise your department profile much higher. Example of this is if I go to the demonstration, there's a report here that again, going back about 6 months, a customer who'd been using Entuity for about a year kind of sent me an email saying that they'd created an availability report, a very simple one, called infrastructure availability. So I've got one here. This. So they took this to their management meeting, and their CIO was so impressed that he asked the server team. Well, firstly thanked his colleague for producing and spending the time to create such a report. Actually only took him 1 or 2 minutes. A standard out-of-the-box report in Entuity. He then asked the server team to create something similar for the servers. He was saying that it took the server team guy 3 days to create something, again, which wasn't as good as this, but 3 days of his time to create something just to meet the same functionality that you get out of the box from Entuity. So again, when we talk about reporting, Entuity has over 120 out-of-the-box reports that provide a lot of value, that can be scheduled and run at any time and also emailed automatically out. So examples here could go into, if I go to Insight Center, you've got the ability to look at a branch office, telling exactly how a remote office is running. This could also be put into a dashboard, shows you in terms of the WAN connectivity, shows you if there's any issues with IPSLA, and also gives you spare port capacity. I can go a bit further with spare ports, and straight away you can see what ports are spare within your network. That for a lot of customers is instant value. Rather than having to buy new equipment, they can actually utilize ports that are spare, which may have cables in them at the moment but haven't been used for more than 6 months or so. Again, a lot of reports that are helpful. Let's look at a device inventory. Again, a simple report that tells you what you have on your network. Again, very helpful when it comes to maintenance renewals. Let's see exactly what I have on a network. Again, very helpful when you've got security threat issues, certain iOS that needs to be upgraded. You can do a search and bring out all the devices within Entuity, or you can create a report of this type. Even better than that, to take it even further, maybe maybe we don't have a report out of the box that you want. Well, with Entuity, you've got the ability to just simply drag and drop information. Let's just drag some information here. Inbound peak packet rate, and inbound traffic rate. Somebody's asked for this kind of report. Straight away, you're able to drag and drop them into the drag and drop report feature and create a report for that, changing the logo, having that published and exported out into PDF. So very, very quick to create, very even simple. And if you go back to the report builder here, you can go all the way down into very complex composite reports. And finally, let's go on to sign number 7. Network issues are over there. Often you see, as I said right at the start, one of the issues we're still seeing in the marketplace is the network management is a silo. Network management needs to be part of an overall management strategy. It's fundamental, it's a foundation to a lot of the other infrastructure that's within your organization, servers, applications, databases. And having a single workflow across the whole infrastructure helps organizations provide real business service management. As you can see here from the slide, Entuity has tight integration with BMC software stack. And in some ways what we are for BMC, we're just the network plugin. And by having this all integrated with their solution, it opens up many more benefits to the business. It enables business service management. It provides a single proactive management solution with a single pane of glass via TrueSight operations. It's got integrations and into service management, raising trouble tickets, integration into business capacity management. If you're into CMDBs, it has integration there. This really helps with automation. And again, the workflow and automation of this is fundamental to help improve your business management. So with that covers the 7 signs. Just a bit about BMC and Entuity, which I'm sure you are aware of already. But BMC brings IT to life, helping organizations transform digital enterprises for competitive edge. And Entuity is a leading all-in-one enterprise class network management solution. And hopefully we've touched on some of the signs that we see out in the marketplace which customers in some ways think that they have network management covered, but they don't. And we believe that Entuity covers these and many more in good detail. Entuity is the leading BMC partner. We have over 250 joint customers, some of which you can see there. And that leads me to say thank you for your time today. I've not seen any questions come up on the chat, so I'm sure BMC will be in contact with those who have attended. But if feel free yourself to contact your BMC team or contact Entuity directly using the email info@entuity.com. And with that, again, like to thank you for your time. I hope you found it informative, and look forward to speaking to you more on a one-to-one basis. Thank you very much, and goodbye.